Hi, I'm Tracy Lewis with We Are Rent a Garden, joined with Pastor Scott and Shelley Bradford from Matthew's Hope Ministry. And this is our first episode of Straight Talk, No BS with Matthew's Hope. Pastor Scott, he is the founder, CEO, and president of Matthew's Hope Ministry, and Shelley is the vice president and the executive director for Matthew's Hope. So let's get this started. Let's start with the basics. Why Matthew's Hope? What prompted you to start this?
When I first moved out to West Orange County 30-some years ago, what I noticed is a lot of homeless people. And I was starting to ask people around who these people were. And everyone was saying to us, we don't have any homeless people here. And my response back then was, well, we got a hell of a lot of campers then. I wanted to find out what these people were. One, because I myself had come out of homelessness.
Okay.
And so it bothered me that I was seeing this, but I didn't see anything nearby that was servicing the homeless in any way. And in fact, what little was happening at the time, and even today, is really perpetuating homelessness, in my opinion. Right or wrong, that's just how I look at it. And I felt there was a better way to go.
Right. So you mentioned that you were homeless. Does this, your background in homelessness, is that what's kind of driving you to help other people, or it's a unique situation because you've been through it?
Yeah, it was a combination of things, but the one was, realizing from where I came from that you can get to homelessness in a lot of different ways. And the first one was as a child, and I've shared this story with others before, but it's just the way it happened. Is my little brother was born with 3 holes in his heart.
Wow.
And he had to have his first open heart surgery at 6 weeks old, and his third one by the time he was 1. And his father, which was not my father, molested both my sister and I, and then took off. And suddenly we have a mom who's at the children's hospital for like the first 2 years of his life. I'm 11, she's 9. And that house that we had across the street from the same grade school my mom went to and I went to kind of went away. And we came to Florida to start over again. And it just went downhill from there.
Wow.
And so as I went through different experiences and I saw what people were doing, I still had the question, even as a kid, why isn't anybody trying to do anything to help us move out of this? Even if that didn't necessarily mean give us money or buy us out of it. It was nobody was doing anything to say, hey, this is the route out, and we're going to try to walk you through it.
Right.
And that's really how Matthew's Hope is set up and based today.
Okay. Shelley, how did you first learn about Matthew's Hope, and what inspired you to jump in?
So as a little girl, I always wanted to be a helper, and I didn't know what that meant. And Scott was at a race that my husband and I were running. We had just gotten married, and he was talking about Matthew's Hope. And I looked at my husband, and I said, I'm going to go work for Matthew's Hope. And he went, you're crazy. It wasn't so easy to get into Matthew's Hope.
Okay.
That was when they first started, and I've only been here 5 years. So I would call and I would be told, no, there's no jobs. And I was like, there's nothing I can do? No. And so Scott posted for a receptionist.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm sorry, what? So, and my husband responded the same.
Yeah.
And shortly thereafter, I was a little bit more than the receptionist.
Well, what she doesn't tell you is how persistent she was, to the point that I wasn't really interviewing so much.
I waited a long time.
And and she just kept coming at me, and part of me was like, and she says, well, if we're not interviewing, can we just talk?
Yeah.
Just have a
And I'm
conversation.
finally like, you know what?
Because you're going to love me.
Yeah, if I can just get her off my back, then,
Right.
maybe she'll go away and leave me alone.
Okay.
And, she ended up coming on board as a receptionist. And it was like probably days after that I was noticing her passion
Okay.
and how she was dealing with people. And I'm going, okay, wait a minute. Why is this girl, this woman who's clearly very intelligent and fully capable,
Sure.
why is she doing this? And she should be doing more.
Yeah.
And then as I learned about Shelley's personal story, as far as, you know, her becoming a single mom, having 2 young boys that were born with various levels of special needs, and that attracted me, because that, to me, that's my people. People that have to go through hardship of one kind or another, whether they actually see it as a hardship or not.
Right.
It's more about, did you have to live some life? And I said, okay, this is, I mean, you know, I've never really said this to her, but she's my work soulmate. She is that person that she is so connected into my thinking that sometimes she knows better what I'm thinking than I do, and often sometimes keeps me out of trouble. She'll give me that look, and it's like, okay, well, maybe I shouldn't say it that way. But
I love it.
my filter is narrow. It's kind of got really big holes in it.
I love that connection and how you got in. So for those who are just learning about Matthew's Hope or just hearing about it, or maybe they've even seen it for a while, but they're not exactly sure what that means, what is Matthew's Hope today?
The shortest version of it that I've come up with, because it's so expansive, it really is, that even some people, you know, they see us, you know, today we're sitting in the Hope Chest, our store, and so some people just think we have a store, and that other people think we build furniture, which we do, and we have a store. Some people just know us because we have the Firm Foundation preschool, and so they think we have a preschool. So there's a lot of whatever they were exposed to is what they think we are. The general statement is we're a homeless outreach, we're a homeless ministry, and what I tell people is that we're a ministry first and foremost, demonstrating, and that's the key word here, demonstrating the love, hope, grace, and mercy of Jesus Christ in all we do. And we are a facilitator of opportunity for those who choose, the other key word, to move forward towards a life of independence and self-sustainability. And that is our function, is to those that we can identify in the community, that we can help lead them into that life of independence and self-sustainability. That's our key mission.
Love it.
But we goes much, much further than that. Because the truth is, most of the people we serve are going to die on the streets of our community. That's just how it is.
And I hear often, help us, help them, help themselves. So that's tied into the ministry. It's not handing out, but holding their hand, learning more about them, what they need, and helping them take the steps. Is that right?
Yeah, I think it's really important that anything that's free has no value, number one. People need to have some skin in the game. But I think it's also the fact that you know, our goal is to guide people.
Okay.
And to be there. Sometimes I talk about it as the drunken toddler. You know, they're able to walk, but they're kind of bobbling down the hallway, and we're just there to, as they tumble or fall, we're there to help lift them back up and help them move towards that life that I think God intended for all of us.
Right.
You know, whether you're a believer or not is, you know, quite honestly, that's not so my thing.
Sure.
But it's the guidelines of things that Jesus talked about. And that's really what has guided this ministry over the years, is identifying those things that he pointed out as being important. One being love God and love his people.
Right.
You know, we're not the God police.
Right.
And I think that, and I bring that up because I think a lot of times in Christianity we've turned into the God police.
Right.
And we're not here to do that. We're more here to demonstrate that love, and then offer opportunity, and then show people where that opportunity is, and then walk them through it.
Right. So the Moving Forward program, let's talk a little bit about that, because you're talking about helping them and guiding them. What is the Moving Forward program?
You want to tackle that one?
Sure. The Moving Forward program, what we'll do on our outreach days, or even sometimes people call us and they'll want housing, and we'll explain to them it's not that easy. And we'll try to pinpoint someone that seems like that they are willing to work the program, move forward. And what we mean by move forward is, are you going to be able to stand on your own in the end? We're not in the shelter business.
Right.
We are in the business of helping people discover who they are, right their wrongs, be able to stand on their own and live a life of independence.
So
and
there's some
self-sustain.
certain qualifications where they need to make a choice.
Correct. You have to be clean.
Gotcha.
You have to be able to pass a drug test. have to, go to classes. There's so many different aspects of it. You have to,
Right.
depending on what your vice is, you have to go to whatever organization that is. So we do Bible study once a week, as well as a life skills class once a week.
Okay.
And you
Well,
have
and
to
life
do it
skill-
all.
Yeah, and those are critical because sometimes when the wheels fall off, people need to understand that in homelessness, 99% plus of these people we serve have experienced some type of trauma. And I always compare it to how a lot of organizations work, especially ministries that are Christian-based. It's often as though we are sitting here having a conversation and your nose is running.
Yeah.
And I'm handing out tissues to you like $100 bills. At some point, I think we got to sit there and go, well, does Tracy have a cold?
Right.
Does she
Why
have
is it running?
Yeah, does
Right,
she have
right.
allergies? Does she have a cocaine habit like I once did?
Sure.
Because if we don't peel the onion back and look at what the cause is and quit treating the symptoms but go after the cause and help that person identify what that cause is. Because, it's a misnomer that most of our folks are coming out of addiction. That's just not true.
Okay.
Though many of them have. But there's something that took place that at the very least made it acceptable to live the way they're living. And, I often, I was in a meeting last night and someone said, one of the police officers made the comment about people choosing to be homeless. And I said, I'm going to correct you on this one. I said, I don't know anybody in my entire life that chose to be homeless. However, I do know people that have chosen to remain homeless because we've made it so damn difficult for people to get out of homeless. And that's a piece that I think a lot of people don't understand is it's not that hard to get into homelessness, especially in today's economy.
Right.
But it's getting out, crawling out is nearly impossible.
I've often thought about that because I was a single mom at one point, and I had to move back into my parents' house. But I thought, well, what if I didn't have my parent, or what if I didn't have the guidance, or what if I didn't have that support like a lot of people might not have? They might not have the money for the rent or whatnot, so they get evicted.
Right.
If they don't know anybody, if they don't have close friends, if they don't have family, if they don't have a savings, which most Americans don't have,
Right.
they're on the street.
Right.
So how has Matthew's Hope expanded over, it's been 14 years, right?
Yeah,
Is
we're
that right?
actually, it's hard to say. We're actually in our, we're going
our
into our
13th, going to
14th
14th,
year.
yeah.
That's hard to.
And I'm smiling, but then I want to think, is it good that it's expanding? Is it expanding? Like, where is it at?
Yeah, it's funny because it happens all the time that I have people stop me on the streets, and they'll congratulate me. Scott, way to go! We're seeing your growth. That's just fantastic. And the reality of it is the growth is there because the need continues to grow every year. My feelings is we should be working our way out of a job.
Right.
And that's not going to happen. And again, I'm not a religious guy, but I am a Christian guy. And I fully understand scripturally that these people will be with us till the end of time. And so based on that, then we have to look at, and I encourage others to look at the scriptures, is two things. God never said give away stuff. He said care for those who couldn't care for themselves. The other side of it is and I said this the other day, that fisherman story?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not in the Bible, okay? But I have people quote me that scripture all the time. It's not there. But what is there, it does say, so much as say, is you work, you eat. And so we're trying to find that place with each individual by peeling that in your back and building a relationship is what part have they bought into a lie? What have blocks have been placed in their way that maybe we can help remove? And the key is, again, help them help themselves. We can help remove. We can't do it for them.
Right.
But we can often hold their hands and be the encourager
Right.
because it becomes very devastating. And I tell people all the time, if you didn't have a mental health issue before you were homeless, you will after you become homeless. And that's, it, like you said, you had family.
Right.
A lot of these people don't. Or they have families that are just not in a position to do much. Or the other thing we hear is because a lot of these folks live in 55 and over communities, they can't have their grandchildren there or the kids there for
Yeah.
more than, usually it's like a week period at the most.
Wow.
And so that changes things a lot here in the state of Florida.
Right. So I can't even imagine what you guys go through on a day-to-day basis. And for 14 years, you guys have been doing this day after day, seeing so many ups, so many downs
Yeah.
with,
Yeah.
these are humans that you
Yeah.
guys are helping or that you guys are learning more about, and you guys are basically intertwined in their life too. So I can't even imagine mentally where you guys go. Like, do you ever think like, I just can't do this anymore? Like, I know I've seen you guys in rough spots before just because I've known you guys for a while and we're all friends.
Yeah.
So it's not always smiles.
No.
You guys have shown me your true faces of like, I'm exhausted. Like, how do you guys keep going? Like, it's just like I have goosebumps because I think of you guys and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're like just amazing.
I've never had the thought, I don't want to do this anymore.
Okay.
I've just never had that thought.
Yeah.
I can't imagine not
Not
doing
doing
it.
it.
Yeah. It's just,
Where
yeah.
do you find the strength and like every day, like, I guess, where do you find the strength? Because I'm going to be honest, I don't know that I could do it just because there's so much involved with it. Not
I mean, this is
physically,
gonna
just like
sound
mentally,
so
like.
Bible schoolish, but really my relationship with Christ.
Okay.
I know that that's where I have to, and my family's so supportive.
That helps, I'm
It
sure.
does. It helps. Yeah. Yeah.
What
Shelley's
about-
more pure than I am. she
Give it to us, Scott.
She's definitely more pure than I am. I'm the reluctant servant. I worked my way out of homelessness and was able to have a beautiful home in Oakland and had the BMW and had all the things that I was told I would never be able to have. For God to flip my life completely upside down in my 30s, and I ended up going to seminary of all things. But I used to wear a bracelet that said, it had James 1:22 on it, and it said, "Do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says." When I came across that piece of scripture years ago, it became my life journey. Now, the danger of that is that you go through a divorce and other things, and the other side of it, what I didn't say, it said, "Watch me live my life."
Yeah.
Here, watch me implode
Yeah.
my entire life as a pastor. And there's times where it's not so much, I don't think I've ever wanted to stop, because my feelings are, if not us, then who?
Right.
Okay, and I don't see people stepping to the plate. To me, in my mind, the Matthew's Hope shouldn't even exist.
Yeah.
If the church was designed what she was designed to do, we would not be in existence. But I will tell you that I probably went 15 years without cussing, and I'd say probably over the last 5 or 6, I've gotten pretty good at it.
You've made up for it.
I've definitely made up for it. And that's going to maybe offend some of the people that watch us, but that is just
No BS.
the truth.
Yeah, there
We
you
said
go.
no BS. I mean, someone called me out the other day. They said, "Does your Facebook page actually say that you probably drink and cuss too much?" And I said, "Yes, it does. But here's what the rest of it says. It also says I'm a broken follower of Christ." And it finishes with, "But I am his." And I put that there because of the fact that people will see me in public and I have a cocktail, and all of a sudden, and it's like, oh my gosh. And so I just want the next question to be, was he cussing? And then let's
Right.
just get that out of the way.
Just get it out there.
Because you get, what's been very interesting through this whole journey is being blamed
Yeah.
for a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And being personally blamed. That
Yeah.
if Scott didn't start this, we wouldn't have this homeless problem. No, you had the homeless problem. I just said, I think we can do something about it, and I'm just simply the vessel that God called to ignite the flame, if you will.
Right.
And, my days, and most people will tell you, it looks something like this, is I deal with crisis. I think the whole thing in all this for all of us is we deal with crisis and dysfunction every day. And it does sometimes take a toll on you.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
Especially when we see someone who has come so far, and all of a sudden they fall.
Fall, yeah.
And then we have to try to decide what our grace is going to look like
Sure.
in that. So often, and I won't say it because I don't want him to have to beat me, but it looks something like this. "Oh, are you kidding me?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I go, "Okay, God, you know where we're at. I've never seen this situation before. You got to walk us through it." And then we sit down and we talk about, okay, so how do we address this? you know, and believe me, there is heartbreak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you become so entwined in these people's lives. You get to know them sometimes better than they know themselves. And it hurts. There's days I get angry.
Yeah.
And there's days I take responsibility where it's not my responsibility. But, you know, what could we have done better? But I think the good thing about Matthew's Hope and what's part of Shelley's leadership through all this has been that we're always looking to do it better. We're always saying if we can't do it with excellence, we're not going to do it at all. But we're always looking in the mirror. How do we just saw the ripple effect, and what seemed like a good idea after we saw the ripple effect
Yeah.
maybe wasn't the best, and make that
But
adjustment.
then you right the ship. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
what inspired you guys to do this podcast? What would you guys like to see out of this?
Shelley would probably tell you I made her.
Well, and you probably say the same because I've been on you to do it for a while.
It's true. There's this reluctance, and yet the fact is that I feel very personal about this, is that the average person from our government leaders on down, they don't have enough skin in the game, and they have not, they are using statistics and things like this to manipulate what's going on. And I'm not saying they're doing it because they're bad people. They don't know better, and they're not asking the questions. And I feel like it was time for someone who was in the trenches every day, partnering with one another in this amazing team that we have, and saying, okay, here's what we see and here's what the truth is.
Right.
Okay? Because there's a lot of misinformation, not just on Matthew's Hope, but misinformation on homelessness.
Right.
Okay?
And I think there's a lot of questions that are either amongst the residents or the community, but they're not talking to the right people who know the
Right.
answers, or who
Right.
are willing to sit down and have that no BS talk with them.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, it's very hard for people now to have a conversation and agree to disagree. It's now,
true.
it's not, I can't just agree with you. You're now the enemy.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, we had a petition done the other day, and over in our new Brevard campus, and someone had made some accusations and things that just weren't true, and they brought them to the city commission and what have you, and so what we decided to do is to have a community meeting. We'd set up two of them, 2 days in a row, one in the afternoon, one at night, so people had in 2 different days, so they'd have opportunities to come. And out of the 55 people that signed that petition, one showed up.
Oh, wow.
And here's a chance to ask right from the horse's mouth.
Right.
You know, I've been told I'm blatantly honest sometimes, and you know that can be. I kind of hold on tight to that, but the other side of it is I get that you won't always like what I tell you, but I'm going to tell
But
you
you're
the
going to
truth.
tell the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I find it very hard when people will use social media improperly
Yeah.
to push an agenda, and I think
it's easy.
Well, it is easy.
It's it's easier for them to push their agenda because then they can't personally stand in front of you and get the truth or
Right.
get attacked.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shelley, what would you like to see out of this podcast?
More awareness.
Yeah.
Yeah. A couple of days ago, we had a guy who was minding his own business, trying to heal after being let out of the hospital. And, you know, I won't say where it was, but they went in, the city went in, it wasn't Winter Garden,
Okay.
took a claw, took up all of his stuff, all of his medications,
Wow.
everything, put it in the trash.
Wow.
And to me, that's just inhumane.
Right. Yeah.
And he wasn't bothering anybody.
Right.
It's just inhumane. And so now, here he is trying to, recoup, and has none of his medicine, doesn't have his tent, doesn't have anything. And to me, I feel like if people understood, these are just people.
Right. Like you
there
and
would
me.
be less. There would be so much less negative connotation towards
Right.
homelessness, because it could easily be any of us.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Well, and if I can just tag on to that for
Sure.
a minute too, is I want to make sure that the viewers, and the people that listen to this, folks, that we're not suggesting it's okay for people to trespass.
Sure.
Okay, It's private property. They shouldn't be there. The problem is, and I mentioned, I was talking with the Cocoa Police Department today, and is we can tell people, first off, homelessness is not illegal. It's not a crime. So we can keep telling people you can't be here. The problem is the only answer is you can't be here.
Right.
Okay? And I can tell you that many of the folks we deal with have various physical and mental disabilities. There's a lot of health issues. We've had a lot of people die that have been terminally ill that may have lived otherwise. And I'm just thinking there's a better approach to it than just, identify. You clearly know somebody's living there, okay? Identify it, properly trespass them if you need to,
Right.
and then let's go.
Sure.
And I can say that some municipalities around here, especially Winter Garden, has typically been more sensitive to this, which has been great and has worked with us between property owners so that we could go out there and talk to folks. So I think it's really important to do that, because here again, this guy is trying to heal, doesn't have his medications, and can't get them refilled.
Wow.
Right.
So how's that going to work?
Right.
Okay, because the type of medications they were, okay, and he certainly didn't take them.
Right.
So
Right. So we've talked a lot about like hardening stuff, and let's talk about a success story. Is there a guest that you guys have that you want to quickly share, maybe where they're from or what happened, but where they're at now, or the steps that they've taken?
Who you want to talk about?
who are you thinking of?
I've met a few guests, and I think they're absolutely amazing. I don't know their entire story, but they're really,
Well,
I love the success stories too.
Shannon has made me really, really proud.
Okay,
but
let's talk about Shannon.
Okay, all right. She's funny, but when she came in, she wouldn't talk to anybody, and now.
And why do you think that is?
Scared, didn't trust.
Okay.
She was a heroin addict.
Okay.
Lost her kids, lost her teeth, all that, and slowly but surely we peeled back the onion.
Did
helped
you
her-
say she lost her teeth?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
lost
wow.
her teeth. Yeah.
She was toothless.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
There might have been
Yeah.
a couple of them left. I'm trying to remember when I
she
first
had
met
to,
her.
Yeah, she
Okay.
had to have them pulled.
Yeah, but they had to be pulled because they're in such bad shape.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
she was thin as a rail.
Yep.
She
yep.
really looked like she'd been in a concentration camp. And there's a lot of reasons in how she got there. But I think the most important thing is she's a prime example of trusting the process,
Yes.
and working her way through it to the point that when it's all said and done, we had to hire her.
And she worked hard. She wanted to work fast.
Yeah.
And she worked hard. Every now and then we would go, "You need to slow down." No, and she just would put on her little running shoes, and she was going to get it done.
And her smile is so beautiful now, and I've
It
had
is.
lunch with her
Yes.
before, and she's
Yeah.
just radiant, and she's talkative, and she's just so vibrant.
And she's funny.
yes.
Oh,
She's so
she's
funny.
very funny, but she's also the reason we brought her on as an advocate.
Okay.
She gets it. She's been there, but she's that perfect match of grace and toughness at the same time.
Okay.
Yes.
You got to have both that,
I bet.
and it's a very hard thing to maintain as you're working with people.
So I know you guys have an annual event. It's huge. It's fun. Can you tell me about it?
Yeah, it's for years now we've been doing the garden party, which anybody who's ever gone to it has always talked about how much fun it was and how good it was. Because we've always tried to, yes, we're trying to raise money because we need to. Our budget last year was like $6 million. So we need to raise money, but we want to also invest enough into it that people walk away going, I want to come back.
Yeah.
That was the best, okay? And what's happened over the last few years is we've seen a lot of organizations kind of copy what we've done. And so it kind of took some of the magic away from it. And
Sure.
so we just stepped back and said, let's do something different this year. Let's break the mold and try something new. And so this year, we're going to do our first Wild Wild West fall fundraiser,
Okay.
where steampunk meets the West.
All right.
And the idea really came from those of us that are old enough to know this show, the Wild Wild West, with James West and Artemis and stuff. And it was a Western, but they had these little gadgets and stuff. It's kind of where steampunk first kind of starts showing up.
right. Yeah.
And so that's kind of what I envisioned. And then Will Smith did a movie a few years later. They took it another level of that. And so I thought, this is cool because people can come. If they want to come as simple as a pair of blue jeans, cowboy boots, and a button-down shirt, they could do that. If they want to copy one of the characters like James West or whatever, or one of the females that are in it with the hoop skirts and what have you, they can do that. So you can go as far as you want, invest as little as you want. But this year, instead of selling tables, and there will be some tables available,
Okay.
and Advent Health, it will continue to be our presenting partner, but by individual tickets, and we're going to have gaming and dancing and some entertainment and a live auction, and like I said, rather than a sit-down meal, we're going to have heavy hors d'oeuvres. There will be cocktails available, and raffles and different things that will just make things a lot of fun. So it'll be a little more active than in the past.
Okay.
Yeah.
But probably less effort put into it because there's not going to be all the tables in some ways. So, but we look at it as a way to change it up, raise some funds, take it to another notch, and see what we can do to not just raise funds and make sure that Matthew's Hope continues to put on the very best when we ask the public to come out and support us.
And you guys do put on a really good party. I think it's amazing. So if somebody wants to come and join, what do they need to do? Do they go to the website, purchase
Yeah, they
a
can
ticket
actually
there?
go to our website at
Okay.
MatthewsHopeMinistries.org.
Okay.
And if they go there, there's a place where tab that you can hit events, and you'll see it right there, and you'll see the ticket prices. We are also laying out this week. We're having you'll see the different sponsorship opportunities as
Okay.
well, and
So
yeah,
businesses can, come or sponsor, even if they can't come. In the community, if they're not able to come, how can they get involved? Can they donate time, finances? Like what's available to the community that can help you guys?
that old thing, time, talents, and treasures. I
Okay.
mean, we can always use more volunteers. We can always use more money, because it does take a lot of money. But we're always looking for single serve food items.
Okay.
And we're looking for travel size hygiene items, along with one of the easy things is most of us have a pair of running shoes in our closet that haven't been on our feet for years. Those would be perfect for us. Someone's old jeans. I'd like to believe I'm going to be a 36 one day again. Maybe I will.
We all need to go through our
But
closet.
but I
after
suspect if I
this,
get there,
and we will have something to.
so that's the thing. A
Absolutely.
lot of things. What we do ask is if you wouldn't wear it yourself, don't bring it to us.
Right.
But if you don't want to wear it because you've outgrown it,
Right.
or ingrown it, or however the case is, or you just don't like the style anymore, think of us, because our goal is to hide these folks in plain sight, and your clothing and things like that can help us do it.
Do you guys have something like a monthly, if somebody's like, I want to donate consistently? Is there something that they can set up where it like either automatically comes out every month, or they can go and donate just every single month just
Yep,
to be
you can
consistent
just
with it?
Go to MatthewsHopeMinistries.org and hit the Donate Now button and set it all up.
Oh, great.
It actually
don't-
gives you options.
We don't
Nice.
ever even have to see your credit card.
Cool. I love it. So Shelley, a lot of people might be wondering where we're at, what this is. Can you tell them a little bit more about the Matthews Hope Chest?
Sure, we're actually in the Hope Chest Creation store, and it is amazing. A lot of people call it a thrift store, but it's not, because so much of what we
More
do...
boutique-y, right?
Yes, yes. And so much of what comes in here is things that our homeless men and women have redone, built, came up with ideas in their mind, and it's just unique stuff to come. And this is people's one vision into Matthew's Hope,
Okay.
to see what Matthew's Hope is about.
And I've seen the workshop, so it's pretty cool. So they can either come into the store and pick a piece and take it home, or if they want something specific, is that an option?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So if they're looking for, let's say, and I'm asking because I need to ask this for myself, a shelf.
Yes.
Where would I go? Who would I talk to get the dimensions, the color, and like who would I work with
So you have
to
two
have
options.
somebody build that for me?
You can actually email hopechestcreationstore.com.
Okay.
Or, no, that's not right, is it? You can email someone.
We'll put it down in the
Shoot
comments.
a frickin'
Yes.
flare in the
Yes.
air, and we'll
We'll
come
find
find
you.
you.
And you can send pictures of ideas of what you want, or
Okay.
you could actually go in and talk to Shannon and Greg and come up with ideas from there.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Well, we've unpacked a lot, but we still have more to unpack. So let's wrap this episode up, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Sounds awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.